everybody. Tina Hogan Grant here with my Cuppa A Natter that I like to do twice a month. I bring authors into my home and we talk about books, reading, writing, what we're working on, and whatever comes to mind. And tonight, Heather Gudenkauf is joining me. How are you this evening, my dear?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, I am thrilled to be talking to you. And where are you from? What part of the country are you talking from?
So I'm coming to you from the Midwest, from the state of Iowa. I am in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is kind of northeastern Iowa.
Okay, and I'm in California.
Oh, great.
So you're not getting any of these storms that I keep seeing, are you?
We've had our fair share of snowstorms. We just had one this past weekend and got another 6 inches. So we had the beginning of our winter was quite mild, but it has picked up quite a bit. So we've got plenty of snow, plenty of cold.
Oh, wow.
So typical Iowa winter.
See, I've never been to Iowa. I'm in California. I do live in an area where we get snow.
Oh,
and we had snow about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, but now we're in like 60-degree weather. And I see all these pictures of the snow. And I actually love the snow.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want some snow. I'm probably in the wrong state for someone that loves snow.
At least you get a little bit, though. That's kind of nice that you get a little bit where you're at. And
yeah, I'm more like 5,000 feet elevation. I mean, there's been years where I've been snowed in for 5 days. Wow. And that's what I love because I actually get to write more.
Yeah. We can't leave the house when that happens.
Exactly. But I am thrilled to be talking to you this evening. Thank you so much. And I do want to talk to you about your upcoming book, which is called The Overnight Guest.
Yes.
And it's coming out January the 25th?
Correct. Next Tuesday.
That's going to be here before you know it. And you have the book. Let's see the book.
Yeah. So here it is.
There it is, The Overnight Guest. I love the cover.
Yeah. It's just beautiful. The art department nailed it. I mean, this house, the farmhouse on the front, is exactly what I envisioned.
I can see that. I am going to be reading the blurb, halfway through our chat, and I can totally see how the cover relates just from the blurb.
Yeah.
It's on pre-order, so people can order it now. And I saw that it's available in all formats on pre-order. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's an ebook, audio, hardcovers, trade paperback. So whatever you prefer, you should be able to find it from your favorite bookstore.
That's fantastic.
And library.
I want to ask you. I have not read the book yet, but I am intrigued just from reading the book, which I will read to our readers in a little bit. But what inspired this book? What gave you the idea for this book?
Yeah, so I live in Iowa. All my novels to date have been set in my state. And, I love writing about rural areas. But the idea for this book really came from, I was surfing the net, as authors often do, looking for inspiration or avoiding getting some work done. But I was just looking at different websites. And, they have these websites where they'll say 10 most frightening crimes in each state, or those kinds of websites. And I was looking through some Midwest states, and I came across one from Wisconsin, actually, that it wasn't a crime, but it was a strange story of a woman who crashed her car into a snow ditch or into a ditch into the snow, and left the safety of her car during a blizzard and collapsed right outside her friend's home, but wasn't discovered until the next day. And she was nearly frozen to death. Her eyes were frozen open. She was so cold that the emergency personnel could not get an IV into her vein because it was so cold, but she survived. So that idea just kind of snuck into my brain, and I thought, that would really make for an interesting component to my story. So that was one part of the inspiration. The second part is, I'm like many of us, I'm pretty obsessed with true crime. I do all the podcasts, the Datelines, the documentaries, the true crime books. I like to listen to those. And I am just in awe of true crime writers, because they tell these stories, but they have to do all the research and get all the facts right, and so in depth. And so I thought, I'm not a true crime writer, but I can create a character who's a true crime writer.
Right.
And so that's also a big component of the story as well. So those two ideas came together, and those were my inspirations.
So what genre would you classify this book?
I would say thriller. Lots of times, we might add a word to the front of that, like domestic suspense or domestic thriller, or or just a thriller. It's a fast-paced book with lots of action and suspense. So, yeah.
And
thriller.
do you always write the same genre? It's pretty much the same.
I was from the beginning. Yeah, this is my 9th book.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And all my books, typically, I would say, like many writers do, involve regular people who are just put in these really unique, frightening situations.
And they're all standalone, correct?
They are. The common thread throughout the books, though, is that they're all set in Iowa, fictional town, Iowa.
I like that. This is where you live, and
where I live,
to that part. And anyone that's in Iowa can talk. So when it's taken in Iowa, you actually use street names that people would know?
Well, I do, but what I do is, because again, if you use real places, you have to get it right. And, and then I've got this fiction brain where I want to just, add and embellish. So I create fictional towns that are very much based on real life locations in Iowa.
That's what I tend to do too.
Yeah. And so people who know the area, know the state, will definitely recognize those spots.
The landmark. And that's one of the, I love to read historical fiction, but I'll never write it. Because you have to be so accurate. Right. And I admire historical fiction writers or true to fact. I just admire them, because one little thing that, World War II or whatever, they're going to call you out on it. And that terrifies me.
Yeah, same. I'm like you. I'm intrigued and would love to write like historical fiction thrillers, but I think I'm in my safe little spot with where I'm at, and enjoy that.
I do want to pause for just a minute. We have a lot of readers joining us. I'm not sure if you can see the comments.
Yes.
But I do want to acknowledge them and say a howdy to them. I'm going to scroll to the top and just scroll down. Thank you, readers that have left questions for Heather. I'm going to be reading them throughout our chat. But if you have any other questions, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I will try and do my best to get to them. But we have Lindsay Lendl is here. She says hi. And Karen Wright. Sherry Brown says hi. Indiana. She's in Indiana. Elizabeth Hash, she says hi. I'm just going to let people know we know they're here.
Yeah.
Katie Mursky is here. Della Page. Catherine Home. Barbara Miller. Lori Chesko from Pennsylvania. What's this one say? She says, in northern Wisconsin, we unfortunately get lots of snow and low temperatures. -19. Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah. It's been cold.
I complain when it's 20. Oh, and I'm from England, and you would think I'd be used to the cold. Kathy Yahoo is here. Vicky Fassetti, Kim Yak. You got a lot of people joining us.
Yay.
Elaine is here. Let's get back to your book. Okay. If you can hold it up one more time.
Sure.
For people that have just joined us. We're talking about our upcoming book, The Overnight Guest. It's coming out January the 25th. It's available on pre-order. It sounds really good.
Thank you.
It sounds really good. So you talked about the cover. Do you have any input, or you just wait until the publishers comes up with a design? And do you have any input at all?
They my publisher is great. They'll ask for ideas and inspirations, just like what you asked. What inspirations did you have, or key scenes? And so I'll always share those. But then the art department takes it from there, and they just create these beautiful atmospheric covers that I've not had a cover from them that I've been not in love with. I just love them all.
Oh, that's
And
great.
yeah, so they do such a great job. They get me. They get the, the area, and I'll send pictures sometimes. With my last book, I sent pictures of the area where the story was set, and they found a way to get that into the, not the actual picture, but that inspiration into the cover of the book. So they do such a great job.
Yeah, I love the cover. It really stands out. I love the font, everything about it.
Yeah.
I do want to ask a couple of questions from the
Sure.
readers.
Yeah.
Ruth Benson, she's asking, what authors do you enjoy? This is always a hard one for me to narrow it down.
It is. There are so many. It's so hard. So I will share a few that I've read lately that I love, knowing that there are a ton more. Recently finished a great book called Beautiful Little Fools by Jillian Cantor. I wish I had it right here in front of me. I don't. She wrote a book inspired by The Great Gatsby, but it's told from the point of view of three women from the story, and they tell the story of and the mystery surrounding the death of Jay Gatsby. It's fabulous. It comes out February 1st, I believe.
Oh, so you have the luck.
Yeah, I got a peek at it. So, I wish I had it right here. But it's a beautiful cover, beautifully written. Jillian Cantor is one of my go-to writers. So historical fiction is her specialty.
What's her name again? I'm going to write her down. I love her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Jillian, what is it again?
Jillian Cantor, Cantor. Love her books. This one I finished, and this one comes out tomorrow. Kara Ruda's Somebody's Home.
This one.
So creepy, so good. So that's another one. Yes, it's a thriller. Very good. So I love her. I love Kimberly Bell. I love Lisa Unger's thrillers and Mary Kubica's thrillers.
Great authors.
There's so many. I'm like you. I love all different kinds of genres. So if you give it to me, I'll read it. I'm reading John Grisham's new one, The Judge's List, right now. Really enjoying that. And
I like him. I do. So you said you have 9 books.
Yes.
Published. This will be your 9th book.
Yes.
How long have you been writing?
I always say, like all of us, I was a reader first. So that was my, go-to pastime growing up. I'm a teacher by trade. I was a classroom teacher for many, many years. But I always loved to write. And I love teaching writing to my young students. I taught 3rd and 4th grades, mostly. But there was always something in the back of my mind that I wanted to write. And so I didn't really seriously start reading until my children were school age. So this was back in, 2005.
Okay.
And I got a journal. I had an idea for a book. I got a journal and I started writing my first novel, The Way to Silence, in the journal. Of course, I didn't write the whole book longhand. That would not have been efficient at all. But I did finish the draft of that book, a very ugly, rough draft of that book that summer that I was, I say off from school. Teachers are never off from school. But when I had, the summer holiday. And that's really where I fell in love with it and knew that it was something I wanted to keep doing.
Well, congratulations. And your first book was published what year?
In 2009.
2009. So how long did you hold that book around or write it before you got it published?
Yeah, until it found fun. Well, I wrote that really messy first draft and then stuck it in a drawer until winter break. That when teachers can kind of take a little breath again. And I pulled it out and I thought, I don't have any idea what to do with this. I'm not in education. I'm not in the publishing world. But I got the book, The Writer's Market, and it lists all the different literary agencies and publishers. And I kind of skimmed through and looked for a literary agency that represented the kinds of books that I wanted to write. And I thought my first book manuscript would fit with. And I sent them the first 50 pages. I was so lucky. Um, the agent reached out to me to read the rest of it. And
Wow.
but it needed a lot of work. And so she saw a spark in the book and spent the next year and a half working with me, trying to get it in good enough shape to send to publishers. So we'd go back and forth, and I would make edits and send it off to her. And this wasn't done by email. We mailed it off back and forth.
Right, back and forth, and
yes, and write all over it. And we did that for a year and a half until she felt like it was in good enough shape to send to publishers. And then she started sending it off, and it took another year and a half.
But still, it happened.
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah. And that's where, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, you got really lucky by finding an agent the way you did. And I hear many authors that they try and they get, rejected.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of just keep pushing. And I always say, just don't give up.
Right. There's nothing easy in publishing and nothing fast in publishing. And when it comes down to it, you just have to love what you do, write the best book you can, write the books that you want to write is what I tell people. And, keep looking for that person who finds that spark that they love.
Your agent is still with you.
She is. I adore her. Yes.
That's great. Sounds like a great working relationship.
Yes, we do. And she really gets me, and she knows, what's important to me. And, I'm just really lucky to be able to call her now friend as well as my agent.
Yeah, after 9 years, I guess 9 years.
Yeah.
So you got this book coming out on the 25th. How long did this one take you to write?
Each book is very different. Like I mentioned, I write ugly. So I tend to get a first draft down within 3 to 6 months.
Oh, that's good.
Really ugly. I mean, I tell you, there's nothing pretty
you have
about
the story, you have the outline.
And I don't even outline. I just get it all out on the page, and it's not pretty. But then that's something I can work with, and that's where I say the really hard work begins. So I would say it takes me about a year.
Okay.
To write a book.
Get it to the publisher, and then they'll do the editing and everything.
And then we go back and do more deep edits and.
Right, and then Pippi, I'm sorry, Pippi, if I said your name wrong. Bouts, regarding your writing, she did ask, what does your writing routine look like? Do you write at certain times of the day, or do you write randomly?
I am one of those people who. I write every day, or try to write every day. It might not be at the same time. It kind of really, this really started back when my kids were younger, where I just wrote whenever I could, before they got up in the morning, after they went to bed, while I was waiting to pick them up from basketball practice, just wherever, so I can write anywhere. I really can. But now my husband and I are empty nesters, and so I have a lot more flexibility. You'd think I'd write more and have more of a schedule, but I don't. And but I do write every day, and I do sit down, and it also depends, and I'm sure you find this too. It depends on where you're at in the process. So like now I'm really deep into my next book. And so I'm working 8 hours a day doing something, something with it. Now that doesn't last forever.
No, it doesn't.
It's intense right now. You can't I can't keep that up, but this is this time in the book, I'm working really hard on it.
And the words are coming easy, and I can't, no? If you work, they will be.
Yes, they do. They come so easily all the time. No.
Being a thriller about the book you're writing, I'm assuming, and I might be wrong, that you plot your books.
I don't.
Oh, see, you surprised me. Most thriller writers that I talk to says they plot them because they need to know, the crime before the end of the book.
Yeah.
You surprise me.
I have an idea. I mean, I
Right.
know like the basic crime and, what I tend to focus, I have a basic crime and I think I know who the perpetrator is going to be and how all is going to unfold, but it never ever ends up that way for me. It always
Oh,
changes.
good. I'm not the only one.
No, the characters always take me off in these very different directions. So, I really focus on the characters. If I do any kind of planning, I guess, I always keep a notebook with the different characters that I create and just listing all their traits, their
Right.
personality, what we do. That's really my outline. And then they kind of take the story from there. Never ends up how I think it's going to.
Yeah, mine too. I like to write because I want to know what the story is going to, and
Right.
it's like, reading a book. I want to
Right.
know how it's going to end because I have no idea. And when you talk about you keep a notebook of
Mhm.
your characters, I do that in Excel,
Oh, that's
and it's
that's great idea.
really handy because I have
Mhm.
a series, and in book whatever happened in book one, I'm now on book six. It's like, now what kind of cake did you like, or what? So I'll put everything
Yeah.
down, and it's right on a spreadsheet, and it really helps.
That's fabulous. I can see how that'd be really helpful doing
It
it that
does.
way. I mean, my notebooks are nice, but I could see how having the
Yeah,
Excel,
you have
like where I
all
can
the
put it
names
eye
in the
color,
bottom.
age, because I'm always
Yeah,
thinking, okay, I
yeah.
know I wrote
So
down
and
her
so is married
birthday.
to so and so, and she has this
Yeah.
daughter and this dog. She doesn't like coffee, or she likes iced coffee or whatever. So
Yeah.
I just started doing that with book five.
Okay.
I started
I'm
book
gonna have
six.
to try it that way and
It
see.
really helped
Yeah.
because because I've got five books, I had to keep going back to the book and looking.
Mm-hmm.
It was driving
Yeah.
me nuts.
I
I figured
bet.
there's got to be an easier way. And I looked at my notes, and the notes were staying consistent for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then it just got to the point where, no, this is getting too confusing. So I tried the spreadsheet, and it really, really helps a lot. And
Yeah.
it looks so simple, and I can just go directly to what I'm looking at. So yeah,
Yeah.
give that a go.
I'm
For
going
me,
to.
to having a series, it just
Yeah.
simplified everything.
Yes.
So
Yeah. That's
we
great.
got some more people joining
Okay.
us. I do want to acknowledge them, and we're gonna read you a
Mhm.
couple more questions. But Beth Wurzel is here. She's also an author. She says
Okay, Beth.
hello. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to put this up what she said. She says book Bibles are essential for keeping tabs on details.
Yes. Good
Very
advice.
true. I would be lost without mine.
Mhm.
Catherine Holman, she has a question for you. I'm going to pop it up. Does your
Okay.
family, I was going to ask you this one.
Yeah.
Does your family read your novels? And I'm going to also, like your children, your husband.
Yes. So yes, some do, some do not. So I have three children, and my husband. My husband always reads it when it gets to the advanced copy stage. He'll read it then. I have a daughter who read a lot of. She's working now. She's out in the real world, and she would read all my manuscripts and give me tips when she was younger. And then I have a son and another daughter who they love to read, but they're not really thriller readers. And so they're, super supportive,
Mhm.
but I have a daughter who's like, I don't want the scary stuff. I don't want none of that. I don't want any of that. None of that for her. And then my son likes more of the business books and
Okay.
nonfiction. So, but I have, my mom and my dad read my books and early on, and when they're done, and I have two sisters who also read early versions of my books and give great feedback.
So you got great family support.
Yeah,
That's
yes, and I
fantastic.
have three brothers who read them, down the road too. So
Brilliant.
yeah, there's six of us kids. So
Brilliant. Do
yeah.
they read the first draft, or do you wait to give it to them when it's all polished up and edited?
With my sisters, they see it in its very rough form, and I love getting feedback from them. They're kind enough to offer that to me as well. So they see very early versions. So by the time it gets to what it is now, it's a very different book at times. So it's like reading a new book for them
Oh,
sometimes.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. I
Yeah.
see a great question here from Sherry, and it's going back to the characters.
Right.
She's asking, if you dare, what character would you choose to be for one day in any of your books?
Oh, that's hard because boy, do they go through some stuff. Okay, let me think. Tricky. Okay. I would say, now I'm going to look at my books.
No, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. One of my favorite characters is from Not a Sound. It's the story of a nurse who is deafened in an accident, and she gets caught up in this case. I just love her. She is very, independent. She makes her way in the world. She, fights for everything she's got. So I think it would be really, really interesting and fun to walk in her shoes for a day. But there's so many characters, it's hard
That's
to pick
9
just
books. It'd be
yeah.
hard to still sticking with the characters.
Yeah.
Barbara Miller, she asked a question earlier today. Do your characters ever wake you up at night or interfere with meals or other things?
All the time, especially when I'm, really deep into a book like I am now. They're all I think about. It's like, I emerge from the day, and they're the only people I've talked to. And I'm like, that's not right. That's really, I need to step away when that happens. But yeah, they do. I mean, when I'm in this part of the process, they really do tend to take over. And
they talk to you.
They do.
And do you feel, if you're writing a book and you kind of sense where it's going, do they will suddenly change direction on you, and there's no stopping it?
That has happened, and sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. But
you'll go with it.
I'll go with it, and knowing that what I try to tell myself as I'm working is just get it down. Just go where the story takes you, and things can be. I really try not to get caught up in the details in my first drafts.
I'm really surprised you don't plot. I think that's great.
I don't.
You threw me for a loop on that one.
Yeah, I really don't. It's probably not the most efficient way.
For me, it works, and it works for you, obviously.
It works, yeah. A lot of the writers I talk to, they really live by that. It works really well for them.
I tried plotting, and I gave up. I just gave up. And Jennifer has a question for you. Mm-hmm. What was your hardest book to write, and what was the easiest book you wrote?
Okay, so this one is kind of easy. The hardest book I wrote, the one that gave me the most fits, was my last one called This Is How I Lied. And it just, I really love the end result of it, but I really struggled with finding my way with that book. And I can't tell you why that was the case. Just that the characters weren't doing what I thought. And I think that's one where I fought the characters. I fought and thought, I need them to move them in the way I need them to move. And they were having none of it. And so I would fight that, and I'd write, and then I'd realize, this isn't my best. This isn't where I want them to go. This isn't where the story should go. And so that book gave me a lot of anxiety. But, with all projects, you kind of, work your way through it, and you just keep moving forward. And, there are times I thought, I don't know if this book will get done. I don't know if it's any good. I don't know anything. I don't know anything anymore. And so that was a tough book to write, but I am very happy with the final result. I would have to say my easiest book to write, and it was my first, just because when it's your first book, and I don't know if you had this experience too, there's nothing looking in at you. It's just you and the story that you want to tell. There's no critics. There's no anybody directing you on how it should go. It's just you. And that's not that that's a bad thing, but it's just another layer of writing that's important and good. But it was just me and the story that I just had to tell. And so it was really a pretty magical experience. And, I'm always trying to recreate that.
There was a question from a reader that asked something like that. Right here, Nancy Timmerman, she asked, What is one of the greatest moments as an author?
There's so many. I mean, it's hard to pick one. So there's the minute, like the time when I got an agent. Never thought that would happen. Then there's the time when, she says it's ready to go to publishers. Never thought that would happen. And then you get a publisher and thought that, hey, that would never, ever happen. And so there's just all these moments that are so important and that you just gather because that, like publishing is, there's so many ups and downs. There's so many, great days and there's some hard days and days when you think, I don't know if I have another book in me. I don't know if anybody else will want to read my books. So you take those, moments as they come and just really embrace them. And one of the best things for me is, connecting with readers, like doing things like this. There's nothing outside of the writing process that I enjoy more than talking books and reading with people who love books and reading.
Right. And we get tired of talking to our characters. We want to talk to the real
world. Yes. That's for sure.
I do want to take a little break and read the blurb to your book. We're halfway through our interview, so I do want to take a break and do that for our readers. One more time, let's have you hold up the cover. I'm going to read the blurb from The Overnight Guest. Comes out January 25th, which is next week. Yes. It's available for pre-order on all formats. So I'm going to take a break and read this, and then I'm going to ask you a couple more questions from our readers. Hold on. True crime writer Wiley Locke doesn't mind being snowed in at the isolated farmhouse where she's retreated to write her new book. A cozy fire, complete silence. It would be perfect if not for the fact that decades earlier at this very house, 2 people were murdered in cold blood and a girl disappeared without a trace. As the storm worsens, Wiley finds herself trapped inside the house, haunted by the secrets contained within its walls, haunted by secrets of her own. Then she discovers a small child in the snow just outside. After bringing the child inside for warmth and safety, she begins to search for answers, but soon it becomes clear that the farmhouse isn't as isolated as she thought, and someone is willing to do anything to find them.
Yes.
The suspense. Yeah. I can see the story you told me about the woman in the snow, where you kind of incorporated that with the child.
Right.
Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Are most of your books originate from stories you heard or people you know?
Most, not from really people I know, but definitely stories that I've heard and from the news. I mean, almost every one of my books has its beginning from something that I saw on the news or read in a newspaper. Yes, and I, take it then off in a different direction. But yeah, every book I've written has an origin story like that.
All right. Well, let's put up some comments from after I read the blurb. Here's this one. Your book sounds really good from Lori.
Thank you.
And Jennifer says, sounds amazing.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Catherine says, sounds fantastic. Sherry says, oh, wow, sounds good. Karen says, I absolutely love the blurb. Very intriguing. So it does sound really good. And I like what Nancy says. Sounds creepy good.
Thank you, Nancy.
I want to read a couple more questions for you. Diane Robinson asks, how do you pick your characters' names? What is your favorite part of writing and your least favorite? Some good questions.
Yeah, those are great questions. So our character names, I spend way too much time on, but I really do enjoy that part of the process because, I really feel like a name encompasses a character. And so I often will start with a name for a character and then, as I get to know the characters better, the name might change as well. So I've been known to go to the library and when my kids were littler, I still had the baby name books around from.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would, flip through those and look through the meanings of the names because that was important to me as well. And as a teacher, I was really careful not to include my student name, the names of my students.
Oh,
For many years. And then it got to a point where it's like,
that's a lot of names.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And, they're going to get in there. So I really tried to avoid like villain names of students that I had, first names. And so, yeah, I spent a lot of time on names, probably too much time. But it has to fit them. It has to fit the character.
It has to fit the personality.
Yeah. And then I think the other parts of that question
the least favorite thing about writing.
The least. Okay. The hardest part is for me is after I get my editorial letter back from my editor, which is super important and always spot on. And I just see the amount of work I have to do. I'm like, I need to go back and fix this and this and this, which is totally, totally spot on. My editor gets me and, pulls the best out of me. But when I see that editorial letter and I'm like, okay, here we go. The real work begins. Yeah.
But you got to get it right. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How many times do you write a draft before you finalize it?
It depends on the book, but I've written 2 or 3 drafts for a book, and some down to the bare bones where, the story's there, but in conversations with my editor and the other readers, they'll be like, the characters, because I write from multiple perspectives often. Some feedback might be that, they sound a lot alike, the characters, how can you differentiate the characters? So then I'll think, okay, so maybe I'll go back and write that character from a different perspective, like third person rather than first person.
Okay.
And that's a huge undertaking in the editing.
It is. You got to remove chunks of your writing.
Yeah. And so, again, it depends on the book.
Okay.
But I do a lot of editing. I do a lot of revising, and I've come to learn that that's the way I do it. That's how I roll.
It's a bonus. It really is. Virgie Lane asks, when you finish your book, talking about you writing your book, Virgie Lane asks, when you finish your book, how do you celebrate?
Oh gosh. Well, that's a tough one because you never feel like you really finish it. I don't know, because I guess after copy edits, I guess would be the time, but there always feels like there's something that comes back, and
even when the book's out, you've got to make it.
Well, I do celebrate, and it'll be with my family, and I'm a complete homebody, and we'll celebrate in a quiet way here, or I live in a different town now, but for since I started writing, the town I lived in has a great independent bookstore who I knew from my teaching days, where I bring my students there for they'd write their own books and display them at this bookstore. So when I became a writer and this bookstore hosted me, I always try to do my launch event there, no matter what. And so they've been so kind. River Lights Books in Dubuque, Iowa. Just a fabulous hometown indie, and they
what a brilliant program for student writers, though.
Yeah, it was fun. Fun. They'd write their books, and they'd host a little tea for them, where we'd bring the books in, and we keep the books there for about a month. So
more bookstores need to do that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's great inspiration.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. Darlene Johnson, I'm reading from the question from earlier today. Darlene Johnson asks, what motivated you or inspired you to become an author?
Well, I've always loved reading. I've said that. It's just been something that's been important to me. But, I was on the teacher track, ever since I was a child. I wanted to be a teacher. But I was a student at the University of Iowa. I think it was my junior year. It must have been my junior year. I went to a University of Iowa wrestling meet with some friends. Okay, I'm going to get to the point here, but it's a roundabout way. And so we're sitting at this was a wrestling meet or basketball. Now I'm thinking it was a basketball game. And we're sitting there, and I look in front of me, and I say to the people next to me, I said, that is John Irving. John Irving is sitting there at this it was wrestling meet because he's a wrestling fan. And I loved his book, love his books, Prayerful and Meaning, The World According to Garp, all of them. And I went up to him and I said, Mr. Irving, I am just a huge fan. I think maybe someday I'd like to write. And he said, you should do that. And he signed my ticket, the back of my ticket stub.
Oh, wow.
I still have it. And I tucked it away, saved it, and then went back on with my teaching plans, which I loved doing. And but knew that someday that I'd be ready, that someday I would want to give this a try. And I did.
Do you still have that ticket?
I do.
Yay!
I don't have it right with me, but I do. I mean, I keep it in a safe place, but I want to get it like a little shadow box or frame.
What a treasure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. He was very, very gracious.
Oh, I love that. What a great story.
Yeah.
Karen Wright, if you weren't an author, what would you be doing? I know
easy.
you're a teacher.
Yeah. I'd be back in the classroom.
Yeah.
I'd be back in the classroom teaching, working with kids.
Third and fourth graders?
Third and fourth graders. I also was an instructional coach, which for a while, where I helped teachers and principals with curriculum. And I was our district's Title I reading coordinator for several years too. And so working with policy and budgets and all that kind of fun stuff too. And education means a lot to me. It's so important.
It is.
Definitely. I just recently stepped away from the education world and I miss it. But I definitely would go back.
You'll go back. Yeah. And speaking of education, Lori Chasko asks, what was your favorite and least favorite subject in school?
What was my least favorite and favorite?
And favorite.
Okay. I loved gym. I loved gym class. I did. School was hard for me when I was really young. I do have a profound hearing loss, and they didn't catch it till I was in first grade. And so everything was a little bit delayed for me. So reading was really hard for me starting out. But I came to love it, obviously.
Right.
But math, I'm just math. No, I just did not have that. Do not have that. My kids, thank goodness, all have it. Thanks to my husband. I had math anxiety for my entire life. And which is unfortunate because I love teaching it. I really loved teaching it when I was the classroom teacher because I think I understood how scary it was for some kids. But
right.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
And are you currently working on a new book?
Yes, I am. And I'm really excited. This is the project I'm really deep in. And hopefully we'll be able to turn it in about a month.
How exciting.
To my editor, yes. It's untitled at this point. And a little different than what I have written in the past. I'm stepping out of my home state of Iowa. There's a little bit of, it's rooted there, but I take the characters to a completely different state, and chaos ensues and crime. And I can say that the characters in this book are some of the truly most diabolical that I've ever written about. So I'm excited about it.
So is this the first book you're taking out of Iowa?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that must have felt
It was hard. Yeah, it was hard. But it was right for this story. It needed to happen for this story.
Did you travel to the state where it takes place?
I'm sorry?
Did you travel to the state where it takes place?
I wanted to. It takes place in Napa Valley, California, and I haven't been able to go there because of COVID and the pandemic, and I was kind of hoping I'd be able to do that this fall, but it didn't work out. So I've been doing a lot of research, a lot of reading, and I hope I get it right. Most of the story takes place in a villa, I guess I'd call it.
Okay.
And So it's a locked room mystery.
Yeah, I've driven
And
through Napa Valley, but I've never stopped. I've gone,
yeah,
from Southern
yeah,
to Northern California. So
yeah.
I'll be intrigued to read that one.
Yeah, I hope to get there. I hope to get there soon, and I hope I get it right. So
Oh,
we'll
I'm sure you
see.
did. I am sure you did. Catherine has a comment that I wanted to put up. I love that you wrote a character with a hearing loss. I hope you write another sometime.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was from Not a Sound, Amelia, one of my favorite characters I've written about. I would love to revisit her someday. If I were ever to do a series, I think it would be based on her character and her situation. But yeah, I really, really fell in love with her.
Yeah, she sounds really intriguing. Linda's asking, what genre do you think it would be fun to write if you wanted to switch genres or gears?
Okay, great question. Nearly every book I write, or every new contract, and we're working on talking with my editor and agent about ideas, I always throw a historical suspense kind of idea in there, and never works out. But maybe someday, I
Isn't
will
you
write.
going to try historical?
I would love to do like a historical thriller.
I would love to do it. Like I said
Yeah,
earlier, it's just the research just scares me
yeah,
because I
and me
know
too.
it has to
And
be
it
stuck
does.
to
It's
it.
daunting to me, but I love reading historical, and I love
Yeah.
thrillers. I think combining them would be great. But I think people around me, this is what I do. I write contemporary thrillers, so I'm kind of like stay in my lane. But who knows? Maybe someday I'll take
Surprise
the leap.
yourself.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, you might surprise yourself. Sherry Brown has a quick question.
Mhm.
Do you enjoy scary movies?
Ooh, that's so funny. I like scary movies. I don't like gory movies. If
I
that
don't
makes
like either.
any sense. I like being scared, and I don't scare easily. So like I can, I don't
I
scare
mean, I
easily.
like books that I have,
Yeah,
like a thriller,
yeah.
but I don't like the gory horror
Mm-mm.
books. I just can't do it.
No, I don't.
I just
Although,
can't.
I'll watch some of that because I like the stories that, not like horror films, like
Yeah.
slashers. I don't care for that, but like if it does get, graphic, I
Like
do
Virgie
that.
Lane, she's asking right here, do you read Stephen King or Dean Koontz?
I do. I do. I enjoy both of them very much. I think the scariest book I ever read was Intensity by Dean Koontz.
I
And
haven't read that one. I did read a lot of Stephen King's earlier books,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
haven't read his in a few years. I
yeah.
just can't do it. I don't know what happened.
They're, still disturbing. But yeah, I love a good scary book. But yeah, if it gets gory or gratuitous, and I skip over those parts.
Yeah,
And
I'm the same way.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, for
but
me, reading has to be enjoyable, but also entertaining.
yes,
But I don't want to go to bed and be afraid to turn the lights off.
yeah,
You
yeah, yeah. We don't want to ruin our
draw the
sleep. We
lines.
need it.
Yeah. Okay, stepping away from your writing career,
Yeah.
which, by the way, is fabulous.
Thank
I
you.
admire you, a great inspiration to many writers out there.
Thank
And you have quite a few awards, correct?
Well, I don't know about. I was nominated for an Edgar Award for my,
That's
first
an honor.
novel. Was nominated, which was a huge honor.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's been
And I
wonderful.
think this book, correct me if I'm wrong, I was glancing at your
Mhm.
bio. Was it your latest book coming out? Was that the one that was nominated, the Goodreads pick?
Well, yeah. So it's been really being well received and on a lot of most anticipated lists. It's been on, the Goodreads most anticipated list
Mhm.
of 2022, Pop Sugar, um, that list. Oh my goodness. It was a library reads pick for
Wonderful.
January, a top 10 book from librarians, which is
Yeah, it's
to me
gotten
the
some.
highest honor. So yeah, people are really receiving it well, and that's exciting.
Yeah, and I've seen some of the comments in the blurb, the reviews and stuff. It sounds really good. So
Thank you.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Let's move away from your writing.
Okay.
And when you're not writing, someone did ask, I think it was, oh, I'm sorry, I think it was Dana who asked it, but she's asking, when you're not writing, what hobbies do you have?
So yeah,
You
so
can't stop eating.
yeah, so and somebody I think I saw a comment was asking, they were asking about my dog Lolo, because if you know me, you know my dog Lolo, and she is here, but she's in her little bed, so I can't
What
really
kind of
show
dog is
her.
she?
She's a German short hair pointer.
Oh,
And so she's the sweetest ever. And so we, when it's not 19 below, we'll go out hiking and walking a lot. So I spend a lot of time with her. I read a lot. I've learned how to swim this past fall, which I'd never learned how to do.
really? You
Yes,
never learned to swim?
never learned to swim. And so I've, it's been so cold to go outside. So the thought of swimming, even going to the pool, has been tough. But and I've been in the thick of this book. But excited to get back into the pool again. I really love it. I never thought I would. I was one of those people who did not like to get her head wet because I always had ear troubles. Yeah,
Right.
I did, and so I never got my head wet. And now I have all the gear. I have the cap, the nose plug,
You're ready to go.
I'm like wearing armor. So, it's a miracle I even get wet, but I do really enjoy it.
Great. Do you ever go boating?
We used to have a boat
Yeah.
when the kids were little. We lived right along on the Mississippi River. And so, well, not right on, but like our town was right on the Mississippi. And so we had a little motorboat and a little ski boat. And, the kids would go skiing. And I'm not afraid of water. I've, never been afraid.
Because
But
of your
yeah, I just didn't like
I
to get
understand that.
my
Yeah.
head wet.
Jennifer even pops up here. I don't know how to swim either.
Girl power. Yeah, no. And
Girl
I
power.
mean, yeah, I didn't learn. I mean, I'm 51 and I just learned. So
Good for
it's
you.
never too late. Never too
Never
late.
too late to do anything. It's like I wrote my first book when I was 54.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
awesome.
it's just never too late. And I see some readers saying, "I wish I had written a book." And I said, "Well,
Do it.
just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it." She says she's written, like she can't do it now. I hear some fantastic stories of authors that are in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the gal who wrote "Where the Crawdads Sing" was
yes,
isn't she in her 70s?
Delia.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in her late 50s or 60s, and look at that book. It just took off.
Yeah.
I'm not sure she's written another one since.
She
doesn't need to.
Probably not.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Another one that doesn't know how to swim.
Hi, Sharon. Welcome to the club.
And one more. See, you just started a fan club here of non-swimmers.
Yeah.
We'll have to wind it down. I'm looking at the time, but this goes by so quickly.
It does. So much fun.
I'm just looking to see if there's any questions I might have missed that I can squeeze in. I think I got all of the ones that were left in my group. Let me just check real quick. I think we answered this one. Lori Chasko says, "Do you like to read the same genre you write? Is that too much like work, or do you enjoy other genres?" I think we answered that one.
Yeah, I mean, I love reading everything. I'll read fiction, nonfiction, romance, thriller, suspense.
Here's one more from Lori. If you could travel anywhere now, where would you like to go?
Oh, goodness. You know where I want to go? We recently learned my son is going to be moving to London for work.
Oh!
And so that's the only place I'll end up going.
Have you been to England?
I've been there once, and it was beautiful, amazing. I was able to.
What part of England did you go to? South?
Just London. It was for a book thing, and it was amazing and wonderful. And I do want to go back, but so he moves in a couple months. So I think that's, if we're going to go anywhere, that's probably where we'll end up going.
Yeah, I'm ready to go back for another visit. It's been, I mean, I went about, I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than COVID. If you do go to England, you have to jump over to Ireland. It's so close.
That's what my good friend is saying. When I told her about my son, she's like, "Oh, we're going to Ireland."
Yeah, my dad lived in Ireland, and it's just beautiful. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump, and it'd be, to travel that far, you have to if you can.
Well, I fell in love with Ireland through Maeve Binchy books.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I fell in love with Ireland through Maeve Binchy's books.
Okay, yes, she's great.
Yeah. And oh gosh, MC Beaton's books. the
My dad was
Aspirations series.
My dad was a science fiction writer,
Yeah.
and
Oh, very cool.
he had a
Yeah.
farmhouse in Ireland and
Beautiful.
secluded, and that's where he wrote his books.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But Heather, this
Yeah.
has been fantastic.
So much fun. Thank you, Tina.
It has been so much fun. I'm intrigued by your book, and I wish you all the success
Yeah, thank
coming
you.
out in January. But I do want to talk real quick about the giveaway that you talked about. I'm going to just hand it over to you for a few seconds and let the readers know what you're giving away.
Yeah, so I'm going to give away one hardcover of The Overnight Guest. I'll personalize it for you and make sure it gets your way. And yeah, thank you everybody for being here. It's been so much fun. I love connecting with readers and talking books. So this was a great night.
So much fun. And Heather's links are in the text from this post, so you can follow Heather. I think you're on Instagram.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I even have a TikTok thing, but it's
I do too, but I don't know what I'm
scary.
doing.
Yeah, it's kind of scary going in there. So I'll dip my toe in once in a while.
But I have Karen Wright. She's watching here tonight, and she's been doing some fantastic graphics for me on TikTok. But I'm like, I'll play around with it, once in a while. But it's like I don't know what I'm doing. Karen has helped me a lot, so I appreciate you, Karen.
That's great.
I'm also going to do a giveaway. I usually try and give away a box of English tea, the kind I drink, but it's still on a boat somewhere. I can't get any.
Oh no!
For the last 3 chats, I can't give away a box of tea, English tea, because every time I try and order it, it says on back order. So we're going to up it, and I'm going to give away a copy of a signed paperback of All of Us, which is my next book coming out January 31st, just after you.
Congratulations. So. Yeah, we're twins, book twins.
This is book 5 in the Sabella series. I will be shipping this on publication day. This is my proof copies. You don't want to have this one. So when I get my shipment in, I'll be sending one of you guys a signed copy of All of Us. I will be picking. Heather's asked me to pick the winner.
Yes, please.
So I will pick both winners tonight after the dogs got fed and we got fed in a couple of hours. But readers, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Heather, it's been my pleasure, and I will hand it over to you to say goodnight.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks to Tina for hosting me. I love connecting with readers, and you're the best. You're the reason why we do what we do, and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.